We're Rachel and Kayla with Small Towns and City Lights. Thank you very much, Joe Bachman,
Oh,
for
it's my pleasure.
taking time out of your busy schedule with all the CMA craziness. Can you start us off by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, how you got into country, and your
Sure.
big break?
I started out. I'm from the Philadelphia area originally. I live out here in Nashville now, but I started out playing cover songs about 12 years ago, and I've been doing anywhere from 200, 250 shows a year up and down the coast. So I play a lot. My life's on the road, and it has been for a long time. And I moved down, started living in Key West, Florida, about 4 or 5 years ago, and started to meet a lot of the country guys, Chesney and Big Kenny from Big and Rich, and Big Kenny's actually one of the guys that brought me up here to Nashville. He was like, "Hey, come to my studio," and so that's how I started to get up here. And so ever since then, I cut my first record, which is right here, and that was 2 years ago. And I was lucky enough. Jason Aldean's band, they're the ones that produced it and played on the album as well, and called New Voice Entertainment. And so did the record, and that was 2 years ago, and started going out and supported the record, touring a lot, playing a lot. And now we're right in the middle of our second album. So we're doing that here in Nashville as well, different studio, Sony Tree here in Nashville. So that's where we're at right now.
Now, you're from Philly, so did you always have the country?
I get that question
the-
every day. Well, my dad, everything he listened to was either Johnny Cash or Willie Nelson growing up. My dad's United States Army, and that's from day one. That's all he ever listened to. But no, honestly, I was, as a young kid, I was way more of a rock and roll guy. U2, that's just what I listened to. And then as it started to get into the 90s, I absolutely loved Garth Brooks, fell in love with Garth, and then started really getting into modern country as far as Chesney and Keith Urban and Zach Brown. And so that's when I really fell in love with it, from Garth on into now.
And you mentioned you did a lot of cover songs. But what are
Tons.
some of your favorite to cover, and I guess kind of the crowd favorites?
I mean, my favorites by far are probably Zach, just because I love harmonies. My band is built around harmonies, and so we love to do that because we can. So we started doing, I could pretty much do 30 Zach Brown songs if I wanted to.
Wow.
But anything by Garth Brooks, anything by Zach. Love doing the Aldean stuff because it's got such a rock edge to it, which is fun to do live. They'd probably be my favorite covers that we do. As far as the crowd pleasers, I mean, Wagon Wheel. You can't go wrong no matter where in the world you play it. And Chicken Fried just never seems to die. I mean, that song from the day it came out till now, people go crazy for it. So
Now, you mentioned a lot of names growing up that you listened to, and then also now that you enjoy. Who would you say is the one artist that, dead or alive, that you would have loved to record with and maybe tour with?
Lee Bryce,
Well, that was a quick
Oh,
answer. You
yeah.
didn't have to
no question.
think twice about that one.
Lee is a friend, but more importantly, probably my biggest idol in this business. Number one, I think he's one of the best songwriters I've ever heard in my life. Number two, he has this unbelievably magic ability. He can sit there with a guitar and just his voice, and he can make 20,000 people cry when he plays, a ballad. And then he can stand up with a can of beer and play parking lot party and
Yeah.
make you feel like you're at a frat party. And I think that the only other person I've ever seen be able to do that is Garth. And I just think it's truly unbelievable that to have that capability. Because usually you get a guy that's like the best ballad guy in the world, or you get a guy that's like Chesney is just the best party guy in the world.
Right.
But a guy like Lee that can do both and write them, that's definitely Lee.
And you mentioned a lot about like writing. What is your songwriting process? Like, how do you write?
For
Come
me,
naturally.
for me, it's always the idea first. It's always about like my next single that's coming out is a song called "A Soldier's Memoir," and the song it touches a topic that's never been done before, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. And so for me, that's how it starts. It starts with an idea of I want to write this type of song, and then the lyrics come to me, and then the melody comes to me, and I don't play guitar, so I get together with some other songwriters that they play, and I end up writing lyrics and melody lines, and obviously the idea behind the song. But for me, it's so much about I want to be the guy. People, when I came to Nashville, everybody's like, "Who's this Philly guy?" So I want to be the guy that has the different ideas. I want to be the guy that when I walk into a room of writers that have been doing nothing but this for a long time, I want them to go, "Wow, that's a really cool, different idea that we haven't thought of before." So that's how I think of it.
And music aside, like you said, you want to have that wow factor. What is one fun fact about yourself that people might be shocked to know, or that is kind of neat or unique?
Neat. That's probably the key word. I'm the most OCD human being on earth. It's my blessing and my curse. You have no idea. I'm the neatest man ever in the I mean, I have the stuff you see in the movies. I have every single shirt that's color coded, and it, so I am a nightmare on a bus or a van because if we stop for food for the band, if they're done eating 15 minutes later, I have to pull over and throw the stuff away. I can't have the trash sitting in the car. I'm the most OCD person you've ever met in your life. And like I said, it's a blessing because it keeps me organized. And when it comes to stuff about whether it's meetings or whether it's being prepared and knowing where my things are, it's awesome. But I drive my band crazy, that's for sure.
Well, speaking of being on the road and on tour, you recently had a pretty exciting announcement for touring this summer with Sister Hazel.
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
you tell us more about that?
I was lucky enough, I guess, 3 years ago to meet Sister Hazel. I've been a fan of them my whole life, and my best friend owns a bar out in Chicago called Blarney Island, and it's such a unique place because it's literally a bar set 2 miles out in the water. The only way to get there is 300 boat slips and 2 helicopter pads. His favorite band in the world is Sister Hazel, and he called me up 3 years ago and said, "Hey, I'm booking them. Do you want to open?" I said, "Heck yeah." So I went out and opened for him, and then the guys and I just hit it off that day. And since then, we've done a few shows together. And then this past January, they asked me to join what's called the Rock Boat, which they've done for about 13 years now, which is about 30 different artists go out on a cruise ship for 5 days, and we just play concerts around the clock. And it was such an amazing time, and we had such a great time together that they invited me to what's called their Hazelnut Hang, which was last weekend in Isle of Palm, South Carolina. And again, that was just myself, one other artist, and Sister Hazel, and it was incredible. So right after that, we decided it would be really cool to tour together, and so they were kind enough to invite me on this summer's tour. So we're going. I can't wait. I really, truly can't
That's
wait.
awesome. And are you bringing your best friend along?
No, he's got the bar. I mean, my boys in my band obviously will be with me, but no, my best friend will be. I'm sure he'll sneak out the shows, but he's running the island right now.
We have to send him lots of pictures.
Oh yeah, of course.
Now, if you weren't involved in the music industry, where would you be today?
I would be a teacher. I definitely would be a teacher. I really, definitely some kind of music or poetry or something along those lines. I really, truly love helping people and teaching people. My next step after being an artist will definitely be going into management because I want to manage other artists and I want to teach them what I've learned over, it's already been a 12-year career and I'm just getting started in Nashville. So, hopefully I have another 15 to go, but whenever that goes, I want to start managing, and I love to teach. I love to teach what I've learned and everything that I've kind of accumulated over the years.
And to any new artists that might be watching, what is the one tip that you would give them? Kind of a takeaway.
Same tip that Kenny Chesney gave me. Just do it. It sounds so cliche, but you hear so many artists wake up in the morning and go, I really want to do this, and I really want. Just do it. Just stop saying what you really want to do and just do it. And the 2 guys that are touring with me right now in my band, they're both 26 years old, and one's from Boston, the other's from Jersey. And we had a meeting 7 months ago, and they both told me how bad they wanted to tour the country and see the country. And I said, well, then move to Nashville with me and do it. And they were literally halfway through well, I don't know. I said, I don't want to hear it. Just do it. And they literally, the next morning, they did it. And I think that's the most important. People get so afraid of what society will think or their families will think or whatever, but really the key is to just stop your fears, follow your heart, and just do it.
What would you say is your biggest just do it moment?
Exactly what I just said. I was making $100,000 a year in a mortgage company 13 years ago. I was songwriting on the side, and it was a dream of mine to be a songwriter or a performer. And I wrote a song, and I sent the song into a local radio station in Philadelphia. Never in a million years thinking it would get played. And I was sitting at my cubicle at the mortgage company on a Friday morning, and I had the radio on, and the announcer started saying, hey, I got the CD in the mail, and we normally don't do this. And as soon as I heard the first chord of my song, I walked up, I went over to my boss, and I said, I can't be here anymore. And that's the last time I've ever worked for anybody.
Wow.
And that's honest.
That is crazy.
It is crazy.
But awesome.
Thank you. So that was my pivotal moment in the career. It was like, you got to just do it. Like, if that's what you're meant to do and you really believe it, don't worry about it. Everything else will fall where it's supposed to.
I think that's really inspiring for people wanting to do it but are scared and say, that's so, that's so far-fetched, I
Thank you.
can't do that, but
That's what everybody says.
yeah.
I can't just up and, I hear so
Right.
many friends go, I wish I had the guts to move to Nashville. You don't need guts. You need a car.
Yeah, and a dream.
Exactly.
What was that lifestyle change like for you? I mean, obviously sitting in a cubicle and
Terrifying.
now
I slept in my
touring.
van every night.
Wow.
And that's serious. I mean, I went, like I said, $100,000 in a house and a couple of new cars and satellite dishes and all that stuff to snapping your fingers overnight. And I had a 1979 van that most of the time I couldn't afford a hotel. So we would drive from one place to another, and I would just, get a sleeping bag and sleep in the back of the van. And I had never been happier. And that was the coolest part for me was, and it's kind of the same thing that I've gone this transition. When I was playing cover songs for so long, when you play a cover song or when you're in a cover band from the Philadelphia area, you can make so much money. I mean, the market up there is crazy for people that'll play Jesse's Girl, which is beyond me. But when you go to original songs, you don't make any money at first. Like, you literally pay to play. And I'll never forget when I first started opening for a lot of bands, and they would call me up and go, hey, do you want to play here? We're playing in North Carolina tomorrow. And, well, how much am I getting paid? Nothing. And are you putting me up in a hotel room? No. But you could sell merch if you want, And so it went from making thousands and thousands per night to paying to play, paying to get there, paying to stay, but never being happier, and sitting on that stage and watching the crowd sing what I wrote. There's just not a dollar amount I could put on it.
It's just so awesome. And I noticed you have this is probably one of the coolest tattoos I've seen.
Married to music.
Married to music.
Yeah.
What that was that?
Too many broken relationships. I tell everybody that's the one girl that does not tick
Doesn't
me
break
off.
your heart.
Yeah, exactly.
I think your OCD will help with the women, though.
I hope so. Plus, I love to shop.
Oh,
That's
there you
another one,
go.
too, yeah.
There you go. You'll be fine. Don't worry.
So now, what's next for you after this tour? What are the plans? You got another
We're doing
single
so many
coming
things.
out?
And that's the scary part because we didn't really expect this tour, which obviously we're ecstatic about. But we're in the middle of our CD right now. We're finishing CMA Fest this week. Sunday, I'm doing some press stuff, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're in the studio every single day finishing up our second album.
Wow.
And Thursday night, we start the tour with Hazel. And then we're going to play Thursday, Friday, Saturday with Hazel, but we have to come right back into town next week because we're filming our video for our first single off this album.
Wow.
So there's a whole lot going on at one time, but it's pretty exciting. Like I said, our next single is called A Soldier's Memoir, which it's a heavy, heavy subject, and it's one of those songs where when people hear it live, I've seen more grown men cry at my show, and it's been blowing my mind, just to see that happen.
Well, like you said, you're filming the music video for it. Do you have, especially a song like that, do you have any say? Do you see the vision, or is it a collaborating
I let
effort?
my director do all
Do
that.
everything.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, I see the vision of the song, but I'm not a movie maker, and I don't even pretend to try to. It's almost like when it's time for the album art. Hey, do you have a vision? No, I have no vision. When it comes
Whatever
to album,
looks good.
And my director is so good. He directed my last video, my last single, Small Town Rock Stars, and he's just great at what he does. His name's John Fusel, and so I called John, and when I sent him over the song, Soldier's Memoir, he called me up and he literally said, well, my wife and I just cried, and I already have the whole script written, and that was like 4 minutes later. So I'm excited for it. I know bits and pieces of it, but I told him that I really didn't want to know because I want to see the end product.
Yeah. We'll be looking forward to that.
Thank you
for
so
sure.
much.
Can't wait, and congratulations on all this success and all this awesome stuff
Oh,
happening
thank you guys
for
so
you.
much. Thank you.
That's it. All right. Thank you very
You
much.
guys
We
are welcome.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.